if Hitler had married Satan, they would have had Donald Trump.
For those who don't know how the sausage is made behind the scenes, Francesca and I have a lot of experience. I was a contributor at CNN, and then back and forth I went between CNN and MSNBC, right? And the game was, I kept doing every week. I used to go to like New York, and they never paid me. And my wife was like, "You're destroying yourself." I had 2 kids. My wife was pregnant. And then people told me, this is the game, especially for people of color. You have to just work and then maybe audition, right?
You need to underscore what you just said, which is they don't pay.
They don't pay. And also, just to give you an example, Ellie Mistel, who is a fan favorite, superstar, who literally comes on MSNBC on my own. Ellie's never asked me to do this. Writer for The Nation. At least 3 times the past 2 years, I have tweeted out on my own, pay Ellie Mistel. Every time I tweet that out, people are like, MSNBC doesn't pay Ellie Mistel? What? However, NBC News found $300,000 for Rama Romney McDaniel, the former head of the RNC who trashed NBC, who promoted conspiracy theories. They found $300,000 for her. NBC News found $69 million for Megyn Kelly to give her a failed show. To get Megyn Kelly from Fox and give her a record $69 million, she took all of it home based on the contract. Her show failed in less than a year. They booted the successful show of Tamron Hall and Al Roker. Joy Reid joins Tamron Hall, Zerlina Maxwell. She also joins Melissa Harris Perry and Tiffany Cross. MSNBC says they want to court progressives and Democratic base. The base of the Democratic Party is Black women, and this is how they treat Black women. And the people of color who appear as commentators, none of them are paid, folks. None of them are paid. Pardon me for taking a moment to spill some tea, but I had to.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. A very busy overnight and morning. Nia, what's going on? It's really busy.
I mean, I second that. A busy morning. Okay. We had a lot going on. I know that Black Press USA has been on the front line making things happen for the 24-hour marathon, State of the People. It's streaming right now live on Black Press USA's Instagram handle. I checked in at 12 o'clock. Reverend Mark Thompson kicked it off, and then Joy Reid and Angela Rye had a very important conversation about why they decided to do this 24-hour marathon. And they have been talking the talk since midnight Easter time last night. And so we're just, listening to all the different voices talking about criminal justice reform, about we're in a state of a constitutional crisis. Definitely encouraging to turn the TV off tonight. This is happening right now live. Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes will be joining us after this conversation right here that you're looking at. And so it's just a lot going on. But the most important thing is we're telling Black America to cut the TV off tonight. We're not watching that. What do you think about that, Stacey?
Well, first of all, it was hard to sleep last night because I got like 127 texts all night long. It was like bing, 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 bing. I put it on mute. It's still
not Kendrick Lamar. Bing, bop, boom, bop, boom, bop.
Listen, exactly. Exactly. And I'm like, these people better be like us. They texted me like that. But it was the back and forth that was going on behind the scenes with Mark Thompson, as you mentioned, and April Ryan and others. And I'm like, oh gosh, what is happening here? I hope everything is going on. Listen, my office hours are.
You know what? We're in a state to where there are no office hours. It's like, it reminds me of when I used to work political campaigns. And when it's GOTV weekend, the weekend before that Tuesday you vote, you get no sleep. If you've never smoked a cigarette, you might smoke a cigarette because you're up 24 hours a day trying to make sure that your person or your candidate, that the entire community or the entire state knows what's going on. And that's what this feels like right now.
It sounds a lot like, oh, I'm sorry. It sounds a lot like one of the the fun, tiring but fun nights of the year is election night in the newsroom. And I'm not sure if it's still the same way because I haven't been in the newsroom in so long, but I've always your adrenaline is pumping. There's food everywhere. There,
Right.
there's even alcohol everywhere. we listen. I got introduced to that way back when I worked for the Daily News in Los Angeles, and two of the best city hall reporters were there. Rick Orloff and Patrick McGreevy were their names, and the first time I covered an election night, I went down to Los Angeles City Hall, and Rick said, "We got everything here tonight, and including the bar. Open that up over there." And I mean, you had every drink possible. And, and but election night is one of those nights like that. What is happening now with the Black press and others with this special broadcast that's going on for 24 hours. It's one of those things that gets your adrenaline pumping. You know what you're doing. It's going to be impactful. And hat tip to people like Maxine Waters and Joy Reid. They're going to be a part of it, and other members of the CBC will be jumping in and out of that. In fact, the CBC this afternoon, I'll be attending at 1 o'clock. Boy, I better not say 2 because that means I'll be late. But at 1 o'clock, they're hosting a special session with journalists of color, and I will be on Capitol Hill for that. It's a pen and pad situation, so I'm all packed and ready to go. Getting on my Excella train, first class.
Yeah, that's reminiscent. I know, I think it was in 2020, Maxine Waters, when I talked to Freedom, the communications director for CBC,
Freedom
he was
Murphy.
saying that they're taking a play from Maxine Waters, who used to do Media Row, but she did it for millennials. And so afterwards, Trump was in office, and we went and watched the what is it called, the State of the Union,
State of the Union.
in her committee room, because at the time I think she was chair of the finance committee. So we all went in there and watched it with her. And she refused to go and watch the inauguration. Watch the State of the Union. And I think that's going to happen this year. A lot of Congressional Black Caucus members will not attend the State of the Union, and they will do something else in resistance to this Trump administration.
It's I just don't see why they would even consider attending. But Hakeem Jeffries did come out with a statement saying that he was going to be there, and he was encouraging members to be there. He said he wasn't basically he wasn't mad at those who won't be there, but I just don't think. I know Hakeem Jeffries believes that's what leadership looks like. I don't think is what leadership should look like right now.
Not you're right now. I think that's the key phrase, right now. We are not in a traditional setting. We are in a setting where so many things are being taken away from the American people, and we need to see somebody that is in contrast to what is happening with the Trump administration. And if we're going along to save decorum, we see no difference, because who's speaking up if everybody is in the room?
Right. Exactly. And look, Elon Musk is going to be there. He's going to be Trump's special guest. There was announced, I think last night or early this morning. It's like, come on, the e- e- even children get tired of going to the circus all the time. And so we should also as adults get tired of going to the circus all the time. And then you got these other things coming out, Niel. Of course, we know that the tariffs hit today, which is going to be it's devastating. 25% on goods from Mexico and Canada, and an additional 10% from China. And look, Canada is now serious. They said they're going to start turning the lights out in the U.S.
Hmm.
So we will see what that's going to look like. And Trump has also tripled and quadrupled down on his attack, his joining Vladimir Putin against Ukraine. He is now saying that there will be absolutely no military aid to Ukraine unless and until Vladimir Zelensky bends the knee, basically kisses the ring.
You know, and he tweeted yesterday, he's gonna tell it like it is tonight. Yeah, you gonna tell it like white supremacy is. You know, you gonna tell it like the Klan is. You know, you gonna tell it like oppression is. You gonna tell us what the billionaire is, but you're not gonna tell us what's best for the American people because he doesn't have us in mind or in heart.
And also, so we talked about we've been talking about the termination of these loyal, hardworking government employees, and now the National Weather Service. They with all of this, got the wildfires going on. You guys had it out there. You got it down in the Carolinas now, and parts of Georgia out of control, and they have fired all of the workers now, the scientists who predict that stuff. They fired all of the FEMA people who help with that stuff. What is really going on here? And then we get reports now from more credible places that Donald Trump indeed was a targeted as a member or as a source, or what do they call it? What the police have an informant for the KGB. The KGB.
Wait. Whoa. Rewind. Donald Trump was what?
A source, not a source, I just said the word,
Informant?
an informant. Now we've talked about, and here's the thing, we've talked about, people get on like, oh, Al Sharpton was an informant for the FBI. What could be worse? And Trump shows you what could be worse for a foreign agent, for an enemy. Now this is alleged, and he was recruited by the KGB, and he even had a code name. And so when he made those claims about Barack Obama,
Mhm.
and his birth certificate and all that stuff, the birthism thing, he wasn't born here. The mainstream media went nuts. They went digging into, they went to Hawaii, and then they went to Ghana and all these places looking for what they thought would be a smoking gun for Obama's birth certificate. Nobody is really going after this, are they? You're seeing the people. What's interesting about this
Mhm.
is you're seeing the influencers who Trump is now wanting to deal with. They're the ones who are uncovering this stuff. Now, this morning, the Hill newspaper, a mainstream paper which covers Capitol Hill, they are now reporting that their sources are alleging this as well. So this stuff over the last 2-3 days, has gained some steam, that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, was actually recruited by the KGB and even given a code name.
So here's this is what should freak the American people out. This is what should freak them out. Since Donald Trump has been in office, he has allowed Elon Musk to have access to all of our data. So if we were to decide to impeach Donald Trump or throw him out of office, we already know what type of person he is. They are going to wreak havoc on us. They are going to, they can mess with our banking system and shut it down. I don't know if you guys watch Zero with Robert De Niro. That's not a far-fetched thing for our banking system to be shut down and we can't have access to our money, or the power grid goes off. Donald Trump has compromised us already. And so we should be scared, especially if this turns out to be true. He's already sold us out. They already have our information.
And that's the point. He already sold out. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And we got so much to be concerned about. You're right. The
Elon Musk has already taken our information. Okay.
he's got it. He's got the information, and So when you talk about playing check, people say Donald Trump is stupid, he's dumb or whatever. He's far from stupid.
I agree. He's stupid,
Uh,
not stupid.
right, right. Um, this has been long planned. This is like the long game. See, that's the problem with when we talked about Democrats and Republicans. The difference is that now they may have been going after things or looking to do things that are so inhumane, which obviously they are doing, but they have been plotting this for years. Look at Roe v. Wade. Ever since 1973, the Republicans have been trying to figure out a way to get rid of Roe v. Wade. Finally, they accomplished it. Why they accomplished it? Because they didn't let up, right? Trump Trump has been in bed with Putin. It's been reported for so long, right? And now we're seeing the fruits of it. We're seeing what really is happening here with the whole Ukraine thing and now
Mhm.
this. Um, it's absolutely they play these chess games, the Republicans. You got to give them credit for that at least, right? Even though it's for nefarious purposes. And that's why it's so disheartening when you see a Joe Biden sit in that White House and say, "Oh, I'm going to invite him to the White House. Oh, I'm going to go to his inauguration." That's why it's
Or you
disappointing
hear
when
Hakeem Jeffries say he's going
Hakeem
to the
Jeff, right?
State of the Union.
Yes, exactly. You know what they're doing. Um, with the broadcast that started yesterday through and runs through to that's what you do. That's what you do. You don't you have to separate yourself now because you got to get in your own bunker and prepare to go on the offensive because
Right. And you
you're
have to
taking
make
all this heat.
right. And you have to make space for people to have an alternative. If we force everybody to watch the State of the Union tonight, then where is the space for the tell it like it is? And this is what's really happening. If we want to have a contrast of the Trump clan versus what America is about to feel, then we have to give those two examples. So you have the State of the Union, and then you have what's happening with the marathon. They're over there talking about everything that is at stake, which they tried to tell you, we tried to tell you, for election, but you didn't
Mhm.
listen. And so now there's Bishop Leah Daughtry. We had her on last week. Pastor Mike, who is over the Black Church Pack. I see Bishop, Dr. Jamal Bryan, whose fast starts tomorrow to boycott Target, Reverend Otis Moss. So this is the church hour, okay? And that's what we need. We need the ministers to pray. We need the activists to activate. And we need the Black press to be pressing on and telling us what we need to do. This is what we need to see a contrast. And, just hats off to Angela Rye for the vision, for Joy Reid to not be, she could just be wallowing in sorrow because, she lost her job, but she continues to be on the front line. Shout out to Mark Thompson for making sure that the Black press was front and center. It brought so much joy in my heart last night, Stacey, when I looked and I saw that the Black Press USA was streaming it, and it's been on all night. I turn over and I tap in, and I'm like, okay, there's such and such speaking. There's Areva Martin from down the street. She on there speaking. It's a beautiful thing. So if you guys have not tapped in after our show, you guys should go over to the Black Press USA IG channel and tap in. Great conversation happening over there.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say something, but I better not say it.
Say it. Say it.
No, it has nothing to do with what you just said. I know I'm reading a comment by Stephen D. Morgan, and I just want Stephen D. Morgan to know that Dr. Nicole is essentially married. Leave her alone. Step off.
What
Anyway.
happened? What is he talking about?
No, I mean it's a nice message and all, but that's
Oh, got it. Yeah, that is definitely a side note.
It's a side note.
But what I wanted to say is you brought up
They got roses and everything. What's with the roses?
You brought up the State of the Union, and you brought up the federal workers. I bet you they won't have no federal workers sitting with Melania tonight. That's who
You
needs
know
to be
what?
sitting up there.
Right. And if they did, it would be someone from the cabinet who means nothing.
You know,
Nothing. And it's not below them to make a spectacle out of that too. You know that, right? To bring some a couple of federal workers there who still have their jobs. You know, it's just not beneath them. I would now that you mention it, I kind of expect something crazy like
I
that.
don't. How could they have federal workers that they fired? They fired them. They put them in the position that they're in. They're not gonna.
Right. Well, it's not like I said, it's not beneath them to bring in to convince a couple of them to come to the State of the Union and sit with Melania, um, just as a spectacle.
Well,
I mean, these people have no bottom.
no, Melania is focused on. She's bringing somebody there that had an issue that or was bullied online with porn. She basically yesterday she had a
Oh, because
press
she
conference.
experienced
She
the
just
same thing.
basically wants to scrub the internet of all of her naked pictures.
There you go.
That's what she wants. She wants to scrub
That's it.
and she's under the guise of cyberbullying, but she just wants us to remove, and she doesn't want anybody to post those pictures. She wants them to go to jail or to have a fine if they post pictures of her naked.
Well, yep. You're 1000% correct. And in recent weeks, in the last month or so, those pictures of her have been popping up. So yeah, you got a great you got a great point there. So
What is be best? What is that? Be best. What is
um
that?
by the way, the Democratic response, Orangey, is being given by Elisa Slotkin. Um, she's given the first term Michigan senator is given the response from the Democrats. In fact, we're going to write about that as well. And I love Mr. Durrett's response. Exactly. Give Mr. Durrett those roses. He's taking her off the market. Anyway, next. um, a decision to this is another thing too. We talk about all, like you said, the political stuff. This is kind of political. Well, it has its tentacles in politics as well, American politics today. But it stretches back a long time. A decision to remove the remains of hundreds of African American tenant farmers from a former Virginia tobacco plantation to a dedicated burial ground has elicited a range of emotions among the sharecroppers' descendants. Some worry about the implications of disturbing the graves of people who were exploited and enslaved, while others hope the remains can be identified and reburied with more respect than they were afforded in life. The mostly unidentified remains are being removed from a site that had been part of the nation's largest slave owning operations to make way for an industrial park. So they are clearing out this grave site to make an industrial park. It is another example of the disrespect, and these are all African Americans, by the way. The remains of all these African Americans. Another show of just total disrespect here.
Well, I believe in spirits and the ancestors, and you see what happens at Lake Lanier in Georgia. Are you familiar with Lake Lanier?
Yeah, I am familiar with Lake Lanier.
And so I mean, it's horrific. The more and more they show us that they don't care about us. I just hope that it's not just resonating with us, because I always have a concern that we tend to have these conversations in a bubble and we preach to the choir. But I'm more concerned about the millennials and the Gen Zers that they're still on TikTok right now. It hasn't really touched them enough for them to feel the effects of it. But they don't see the erasure of our history. And how that really will impact the future of how we're even viewed, because we already the minority of the minority.
Mhm.
So this is it's saddening and it's scary because not to me, not enough people are concerned about this.
Yeah, David wants you to tell us more about Lake Lanier.
Oh, so Lake Lanier is a lake in Georgia, where there was a let me get you the where there was like it's over a slave, right there it is right there, Lake Lanier. They say that allegedly that the Lake Lanier, the history of a black town enduring racism and mysterious deaths, and they basically built a lake over it. And so there have been multiple unsolved deaths. And then Usher's stepson, Tamika's son, he died in that lake as well. So there have been multiple deaths, and they always say that it's the spirits of the ancestors that are rising up.
Well, I tell you what, um, it's just horrible that these people were mistreated badly, inhumanely in life, and then to have their remains desecrated like this is horrible.
Mm.
It's absolutely horrible. Um, so you had some
Look, there
quickies
you have the
today.
daily history of Lake Lanier, the haunted Georgia reserve created by flooding of an entire black town.
Come on, was that accidental?
No, it never is.
Goodness grief. Yeah, Empress is as I said, the Empress says that they basically flooded the town. Yep, that's a shame. You had some quick points today, though. Why don't you
So,
run through those?
yeah. So as we're really politically heavy, but we also want to just highlight some stories that are trending across Black America that you're not going to see in mainstream media. And so we're going to call these the Let It Be Known quickies of the morning. So first up, Church of God in Christ presiding bishop. Bishop J. Drew Sheard was elected to the NAACP National Board of Directors. Now, if you don't know, the Church of God of Christ is probably the largest denomination of largest Black denominational church. Bishop Sheard is married to one of the legendary Clark sisters, Karen Clark Sheard. And the Kojic Church is just such a huge denomination within our congregation. I mean, within our community, the Black community. And so for Bishop Sheard to be appointed as a national board member of the NAACP, that's big news. All right, next story up. Omega Psi Phi headquarters releases a statement following the passing of the Southern University student. The student, identified as Caleb Wilson, was a member of the Human Jukebox of the school's marching band. This story is just heartbreaking, and it's trending across the country. He was pledging Omega Psi Phi off campus at a off campus ceremony. Details of his death have not come out, but his parents just spoke out recently, and it's just a developing story. It's always heartbreaking when we see stories like this. And so finally, we're going to stick with college, but we're going to move over to the Big Ten. I don't know if you saw the game over the weekend, but USC beat out UCLA to become the women's basketball Big Ten champions of the year, and which takes us into, there it is, Juju Watkins be balling, okay? Many compare her to be the female Kobe Bryant. I know Vanessa Bryant is a big fan of hers, but this just makes us so excited about March Madness. I don't know about you, Stacey, but I am so excited to see these girls ball out this March.
I used to get excited about March Madness, and it's funny you mentioned the women's because they are now, and it is a reason to be excited again because the women play the most competitive, the most compelling games now. So it is very exciting, and you credit Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark too. I'll give her some credit.
Mhm.
Um, with really bringing the game, the women's college game to the next level where people are paying attention. Of course, you have the legendary coach down in South Carolina. Um,
Don
and
Staley. Yeah,
Don
yeah.
Staley. But it's become very compelling, to say the least. Women's college
Yes.
basketball.
Yes, yes. Very exciting to watch. Paige Buckner over at UConn, her number just got retired. Like you said, Don Staley, she just dropped a book, Uncommon Favor. And so all eyes are on women's basketball. I don't know where the fellas are at, but March Madness, I think this year is gonna belong to the ladies.
Ladies, it's ladies' night.
Mhm. And I think our guest is here, Stacy.
Well, why don't you introduce them?
All right, brothers and sisters, let's bring into the congregation Pastor Friendship West Baptist Church, Dr. Frederick D. Haynes. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. Good morning. How you doing?
We are doing
morning.
good. Good. Now, we understand you just got off the marathon, 24-hour marathon
Yeah.
right now. Talk to us about the discussion.
It was just powerful. And I want to shout out the amazing Angela Rye, as well as my good brother in the faith, Reverend Mark Thompson. Angela recognized that we're in an era that is in no way normal. And so if we keep doing business as usual in an abnormal era, then we'll find ourselves left behind. And so we want to be what Dr. King would call thermostats as opposed to thermometers. And so as a consequence, the overall vision of Angela Rye was that even though this evening on Capitol Hill, there will be a state of the disunion where lies will be told on repeat, basically a campaign rally for lying, lifting up the rich and attacking the perceived enemies of this country, which if you look like us, that makes you an enemy of this country. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is under attack. There's a war on wokeness. And so we decided we're not just going to act like this is a normal time. We're going to proactively decide, okay, State of the Union, no, we're gonna have a State of the People. And so for 24 hours, starting at 11:59 Eastern, this just what, 7-8 hours ago, we kicked it off, and we're going for 24 consecutive hours up until he gets up to give his speech of lies. We're going to be offering what we call pre-buttals. And then during his speech, we will offer a rebuttal and continuous rebuttals, because in this season of the politics of gaslighting, in this season where lying is normal, we just think the truth telling still has a role. And Jesus said, you shall know the truth. Truth will set you free. So if the truth sets you free, lies lock you up. And so we are determined that the truth sets us free.
Hakeem Jeffries said he will attend the speech, the president's speech this evening, and he is encouraging members to attend. But he also, at the same time, has said that he understands that those who don't attend. What do you make of that as far as even attending? Because even what you're doing with the 24-hour broadcast, it's giving us an alternative, right? And it's also doing what I think is best, and that is almost ignoring his speech. For Democrats to attend that speech, for anybody who is hurt by and it's millions of people who are hurt by what he's doing, to attend that, isn't that a step backwards? Isn't that, I mean, how does that help?
Thank you. And I have so much love and respect for Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. He should be Speaker of the House. Hopefully we'll handle that in 2 years or next year. But I will respectfully say that to act as if this is normal when it is anything but normal is to basically play into the hands of one who, number one, loves a crowd. It would say so much if the members of the Congressional Black Caucus, one of them is a member of Friendship West, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, and we've been in conversation for the last week and a half. She does not want to attend, and she's still praying, wrestling with attending. But her thing is she's not going to normalize this abnormal moment that we find ourselves in. And so as far as I'm concerned, I am praying for her and her wisdom and direction, but I've also shared with her that she must, according to her conscience, if her conscience says, I will not sit in front of this person who relentlessly lies and is going to basically declare war on certain segments of the population of this country, I'm not going to sit in front of that and take that. I am with her, and I'm with all who, again, refuse to normalize this moment. We have to provide an alternative. I'm glad that you used that word because we cannot go along to get along with wrong. I got to say this, W.B. Du Bois, he made a statement about the Black preacher in his book, The Souls of Black Folk. He said that the Black preacher has always been the supernatural avenger of those who have been wronged. We're the avengers. And I say to Jasmine Crockett, I say to Hakeem Jeffries and all of our Democratic leadership, it's time to avenge the wronged. It's time to stand for what's true. And you cannot be complicit with the liar in chief who occupies what is now the white supremacist house.
I want to talk about the Black church. There's a Pew put out a study that said that the younger generation basically doesn't identify as Christian. And we know the legacy of Black people in this country. The Black church played an intricate role of the progression of freedom and civil rights and voting rights and things like that.
Right.
What can the Black church do to engage this younger Black generation to be more involved in civics and draw them back to like our foundation?
Right. I thank you for that question. Breonna Parker is also one who conducts studies, and she does it, of course, from our perspective. And what she's discovered to perhaps supplement what Pew Research has come up with, and that is this generation, they may not be religious, but they are committed to spirituality. They are committed to a spirituality that speaks to the social issues of our time. And so the Black church has a wonderful opportunity. I won't forget, a few weeks ago, we did a Martin Luther King Jr. teach-in. And one of the persons who came to basically ask questions, 20-year-old who said, hey, I grew up in the church, got away from the church, but now me and my generation are taking a fresh look at the church as long as the church is marrying spirituality to social activism. And so for me, that means that, to quote Jesus, the harvest is plentiful. We just have to have a labor force that recognizes that there are young people who are basically saying, I'm done with religion, but if I can have a spiritual encounter that connects me to my Creator, and then out of that spiritual encounter, I'm empowered to socially make a difference in this world, then I want to connect with that kind of not religious institution, but that kind of spiritual movement that basically feeds my spirit, but at the same time empowers me to make a difference in this world. And that basically means the Black church going back to her roots, because I'm afraid that the Black church post-civil rights movement got caught up in white Christian theology, how white people grow churches, the whole church growth movement, the mega church movement. And during that time, we gave up the theology of those ancestors. We lost what James Weldon Johnson would say, the faith that the dark past has taught us. We got to reclaim that faith if we're going to revive the church and rebuild the community and reconnect with the young generation.
Mm.
I want to go back to the state of the people that is going on. So far, Dr. Haynes, what have you heard as far as being some specific policies that have had the most damaging impact on Black and marginalized communities?
Oh, wow. I mean, in this administration, it's hard to know where to start. If you have a global consciousness, you can start with, and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, we just engaged in conversation during the session on the Black Church Power Hour. And she began with the whole concept of U.S. aid, which is less than 1% of the budget of this country. U.S. aid, which helps to fight Ebola, U.S. aid, which helps to plant seeds of opportunity and economic growth in formerly colonized countries of color. U.S. aid is being wiped out by this administration and basically setting the tone for China, Russia, and other so-called enemies of this country to go in. China's already in Africa and basically engaging in building up those areas that in too many instances, the foreign policy of this country has had a detrimental effect upon. And so U.S. aid, let's just start right there. When U.S. aid is being done, it's America using her power for the benefit of those who are powerless. When we don't do that, and I say this guardedly and respectfully, we make enemies of persons who are oppressed and set the stage for what we like to call terrorism. But as someone well said, one nation's terrorism is another nation's freedom fighting. And so it's very important for us to understand that U.S. aid makes friends for this country. But then she goes on to talk about the fact that with this current budget, as they try to cut funding for what eventually will be Social Security. Who benefits from Social Security more than our elderly in our community? But not only that, Medicaid. Not only that, we're talking about cuts to anything like SNAP benefits. All of those benefit those who have found themselves hurting economically. Now, here's what's even more dangerous, and that is the fact, and again, I'm quoting Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, that we are basically now on the very edge of a recession. In a recession, those who are already suffering end up experiencing an exponential suffering, a magnified suffering. And so those who are the Elon Musk of the world, who is Trump's daddy, evidently, those persons don't hurt during a recession. Trump is going to be fine during a recession. All these folk who are with him are going to be fine during a recession. It's the rest of us who are going to struggle. Our teachers are going to struggle. Our frontline workers are going to struggle. And then think about the fact that in this budget, every fight we've had to war against environmental racism, environmental injustice, climate change, all of that is being wiped out in this budget. And the bottom line is, and I'm in Dallas, and I'll give it to you, Harriet Washington, in her wonderful book, Dealing with Climate Change and Environmental Injustice, she notes that in Dallas, Texas, children miss the most number of days in school because of asthma that is related to the toxic air that they breathe. And of course, you know what side of town that takes place on. And so, as someone said during the early hours of this 24-hour marathon, We may not engage in politics, but politics engages all of us. Politics impacts all of us. Why? Because one definition of politics has to do with the administration of resources. And so right now, we are witnessing in real time how resources are being administered to benefit those who are up and in at the expense of those who are struggling and just trying to make ends meet.
Mm, mm. I want to go back before we let you go to the Black church or to church in general. You brought up evangelicals, and we know that the church a lot of times drives voter turnout. And so we're in a situation to where we have one God, one Bible, and you got evangelicals, and then you got the Black church. We read the same Bible, praying to the same God, but our prayers are different.
Yeah.
I'm trying to reconcile that in my mind. And I need some pastoral guidance. Like, how is this happening? How can they be so evil and their person won? And we was praying to the same God and our person lost, and this is happening.
Wow.
How do we reconcile this, Pastor?
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I'll be honest with you, I wrestle with that every single day. Number one, I keep in mind that there's a passage in Psalm 73 which talks about how the psalmist says, I know God is good, but my feet almost slipped when I witnessed the prosperity of the wicked, of those who basically use the name of God to get over. And then those of us who are trying to do what's right, life keeps going wrong. That's Freddie Haynes' remix of Psalm 73. And one of the things that keeps me sane in all of this is the fact that these evangelicals, these white evangelicals who are more white than they are evangelical, let me just say that, but they are descendants of those who basically came up with the slave Bible. And the slave Bible, we all know, was used to witness to the indigenous people in the Caribbean, and they literally cut out biblical passages having to do with justice, liberation, freedom. And so Exodus is not in the slave Bible. Jesus saying, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's not in the slave Bible. They took so much out of the slave Bible to justify the oppression that they engaged in. And I want to suggest that the slave Bible hermeneutic still exists, in that they operate with what Al Sharpton calls an edited Bible, where they edit out anything having to do with loving your neighbor as you love yourself. They edit out anything having to do with God saying, out of one blood, God made each and every one of us. Why? Because their religion is always on the side of power, as opposed to understanding you can't read the Bible without seeing that God always shows up on the side of the powerless. When you see God in Exodus, God ain't showing up on the side of Pharaoh. God shows up on the side of Moses and the Hebrews who are oppressed and enslaved. When Jesus is born, he's not born in a castle in Cairo or a palace in Rome. Jesus is born what? Homeless, unhoused in Bethlehem. And then when he grows up in the hood in Nazareth. Nazareth was so hood. Somebody said, can any good thing come out of Nazareth? Because it was hood. If NWA was rapping back in Jesus's day, their album would have been entitled Straight Outta Nazareth. But what they do, these evangelicals, what are they doing? They basically say, I'm going to read the Bible from the top down because I am all about being on the side of the powerful. I am about accumulating as much wealth and power in the world as I can, even at the expense of those who are powerless. And so I got to be honest with you and quote Jeremiah right here. One Bible, but we ain't worshiping the same Jesus. We ain't worshiping the same God. And so I'm real cool with the fact that, okay, they're worshiping their God out of a Bible that they have edited for their political expedience and convenience. And I refuse to worship their God.
Amen.
Well, the state of the people. I know that you'll stay tuned to that as well, and perhaps we'll hear some more from Dr. Haynes later on, and others as well, because it's such an important broadcast that's going on, and Dr. Haynes just came out of it. So thanks a lot for giving us some of your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Hey,
so
and
much.
thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the great work that you were doing. We need you. This is a time where, again, gaslighting and lying is normalized, and so to have you telling the truth in the tradition of Frederick Douglass and so many others is a gift to us. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right. Awesome stuff. The state of the people is going on now. Black Press USA is it's happening.
Yeah.
It is happening.
Mm.
So folks just don't want to there are folks, myself included, even though I have to cover stuff, don't want to listen to what this guy has to say tonight because we know what he's going to say. And
He gonna tell it like it is.
yeah, he gonna tell it like like it is in his warped view of things. So
He gonna cut a rug, okay? And that's why the biggest thing to me for Democrats, the biggest play they can make is for him to go into a half full what is it called? Is it the rotunda? Where do they speak at, Stacey?
where
The joint
it's at the yeah, it's the joint session. He's gonna be at the speakers um what do you call that? Somebody help me. Yeah, but he's gonna be up on that thing there. So
So if he's very obsessed with crowds, we know this. So the best message you could send him is to send him with a half empty venue. He will be pissed. Like,
yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
Don't participate. Do something. He will be pissed if he walks in there and there's nothing but Republicans, and he sees a bunch
Oh
of
yeah,
empty seats.
exactly. It's the floor of the house, David and Orangey. I was thinking of the podium, but nonetheless, the floor of the house.
The floor of the house.
Um, but you're 100% right. And that's the one thing, one of the few things that we know for sure that gets under his skin is when nobody shows up.
Can you imagine if the Dems didn't show up? The room would be half empty. He would be pissed.
It would be exactly half empty, and that's the point. And that would be that. There's your message. See, again, that's my argument about it. But hey,
Greer
who am
says
I?
image is everything in this moment. And that would be an image for not just for us, but for the entire world to see that we're not with this nonsense. We're not with that.
Right, right. And it's just like we talked yesterday about the Tesla protest, right? The images that they are trying to hide from you that we are able to see, um, they are powerful. All these people, and if somebody pointed out yesterday, maybe it was you who said there was nobody black out there protesting or whatever, but s- just as powerful because let somebody else do the work sometime.
Right. Right.
And very very powerful. Black folks don't uh, for the most part don't buy Tesla anyway, but nonetheless this is what they are doing, and that we remember 2020 and the whole Lives Matter movement that picked up steam across the world. That image remains when Muriel Bowser, the DC mayor, painted that street across from the White House and Black Lives Matter, big yellow or gold, how we want to, yellow letters, men are colorblind. It's either yellow or gold. And made blocked off that whole 2-block area there and made it Black Lives Matter. And here's the thing with that. So what sits there in those 2 blocks, right? Roland Martin does have an office in one of those buildings, but you have a union building that sits there, but you have a church that sits there. I believe it's a Catholic church that sits there. You have one of the most swankiest hotels in DC, the Hay Adams, sits right there. And the Hay Adams, a lot of senators, congressmen, presidents have gone there, have stayed there, have eaten there, um, and still do, from what I understand. In fact, athletes, when they come in to play a DC team, I happened to just last summer ran into several New York Mets players that were staying at the Hay Adams. It's the point is where she put Black Lives Matter Plaza, that image is so powerful because you of who sees it. And if Trump walks into that joint session tonight, tonight, and there is no Democrats, it's half empty. Wow, that's a shot that should go on the front page of every one of our newspapers.
Yeah. He would forget about his speech and more than likely, I suspect, would talk about that more than anything.
Exactly right. 100%. Throw him totally off his game. Totally, because he would focus. Oh, the Democrats this and the this and that, blah, blah, blah. It would be totally different speech.
All right,
Totally.
Democrats, let's play chess, not checkers, baby. Let's go. Stacey, you closer to the Capitol than me. Put the memo out.
The memo's out.
Out.
The memo's out. In
No.
fact, like I said, I'm going to this thing at 1 o'clock today on Capitol Hill. All the CBC members, they're supposed to be coming in and out and chatting with us. That is going to be a serious question. Why? If you are going, why are you going? Why aren't you not thinking about what we just talked about, that image that you can send, that message you can send? I want to know. In fact, I think I'll do an article about that on the responses I get from them.
And then
hate
we can
giving
talk
myself
about it
more
tomorrow.
work.
We could talk about it tomorrow.
We could talk about it tomorrow, but I hate giving myself more work. What am I doing here? Okay, so a couple quick other things. This one I have to bring this up. It wasn't on the docket, but I just saw this. One of 2 men convicted of killing rap legend Jam Master Jay was stabbed during a melee at a New York City jail over the weekend. Carl Little D. Jordan was hospitalized following a brawl at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. That is where Diddy is being housed. So it's really interesting. And we know Keefe D, his trial has been pushed back. Keefe D, of course, is the guy accused of killing Tupac Shakur. So that stuff is happening too. Um, and Drake took Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us personally. So personally that he took it to court. Well, yesterday he settled his dispute with iHeartMedia, but his fight with Universal Music Group is just heating up. He filed a legal petition in Texas accusing iHeartMedia of accepting illegal payments from Universal to flood the airwaves with Not Like Us. Both Drake and Kendrick are signed to UMG, making this even messier. And while the rapper and iHeartMedia have now resolved their dispute, the details of the agreement will remain sealed for now, but UMG isn't off the hook. Universal is still facing Drake's claims of irregular and inappropriate business practices to help boost Kendrick Lamar's hit at his expense. He argues that Not Like Us falsely accuses him of pedophilia and other crimes, and that Universal knowingly pushed the narrative. Um, I get the feeling, Neil, and we'll never know, but I get the feeling that even without the Drake beef, Not Like Us, if it was about something else or someone else, it would still have been a hit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even look at Drake the same, and he's really messing up my playlist
He's messing
because
your playlist up.
he's messing my playlist up because I enjoy the guy's music, but all of this back and forth because you started a beef that you lost, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I know uh hip hop journalist Elliot Wilson just posted yesterday. Right now on Billboard Top 100, Kendrick number 1, Luther. Kendrick number 3, Not Like Us. Kendrick number 4, Turn the TV Off. Kendrick number 10, Squabble Up. What I don't see is Drake in the top 10. And he just dropped the album with what, Party Boy Next Door or Next Door Party Boy. What, he nowhere on the chart. Now, are you going to sue for that? Are you going to blame Kendrick for that? Or did he just put out a better body of work than you?
Yeah.
Accept the defeat, bro, and move on.
Oh gosh, it reminds me of a friend of mine. He was a young, yeah, a friend of mine's son. Was in a car accident, and he said, "You know what? I just accepted defeat."
Yeah. You win some, you lose some, but you got to play the game. Okay. If you want to be in the game, you got to take some L's and you're going to get you some wins. Okay.
Oh God. And Stan, just for momentarily in celebrity crime news. And some serious stuff, not anything to laugh at, but Jay-Z has now filed a defamation lawsuit against his accuser, as well as the attorney Tony Busby, and we know that case totally fell apart. A case that really, come on, you don't have to be a legal expert, a lawyer, or anyone close to knowing anything about the law to know that that suit should never have been filed, should never have been brought. Um, there are punishments for the bar, the state bar, everybody's state bar has punishments for attorneys who frivolous, however you say that word,
Frivolously.
frivolously use the courts. And what Tony Busby did in this particular case was so egregious. Um, and it was simply because um, this was a well-known celebrity. This is a well-known celebrity, one of the biggest names in the business, period, in Hollywood, period, right? In music and whatever else you want to say. And simply because he thought that, like many celebrities, would just write a check so that they could move on with their lives. He thought Jay-Z would just write a check. And that is so wrong. That is extortion. And it's extortion in its worst form because you had nothing on the man.
Right.
The story was crazy from the beginning. The girl's father totally obliterated her story. Her own father. This was a crime against Jay-Z, and folks know I am not a Jay-Z fan. I could care less about Jay-Z. I just think that he has a lot of flaws that, and we all have flaws, but his
Yeah.
a lot of a lot of things I don't like about Jay-Z, but this thing here was just extremely wrong. Jay-Z, his family, his wife, his kids did not deserve this at all.
Well, you could tell he definitely feels vindicated. I know that the Carters just held their gold party, their annual gold party after the Oscars. A lot of people, while he was going through this, they were like, well, are they still going to have the gold party? So, they popped their collars on Sunday night. It was the place to be after the Vanity Fair party and all the other parties. That the party back in the day, Prince used to have the party after the Oscars, and so rest in peace Prince. But the Carters now have this party. But to your point, he should pop his collar. A lot of people feel a certain way because he has totally disconnected himself from Diddy, and people have problems
Why
with it.
wouldn't he though? Why wouldn't he?
I mean, because where does the line of friendship go? You know what I'm saying? If that's your boy, I mean, you have
Let me tell you
family members
something.
that do things that are wrong. So a lot of
You're
people,
right.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying a lot of people feel a certain way because they feel like he could be more supportive towards Diddy.
You can't
I'm
support
not saying
that.
it's right or wrong.
I know, no, I know you're not, but I'm thinking, wow, how do you support that? You can't support that. I mean, it could be. See, this is where I have a problem with with certain things. If your family member is sexually assaulting people, if your family member is a serial killer, or your best friend or whatever, committing crimes against women or whomever, you're not a friend in supporting that. You're not you have no choice. You give me no choice but to disassociate myself with you.
No,
Um,
I totally get that, but
no, I'm not saying you're saying that. You like
no,
you
no, no.
said.
But what I'm
So,
saying is,
mhm.
he is saying that they weren't close, and there's plenty of images that show. They went to the Rock brunch together one year. And so it's like to say that there was never any love
Right.
there. That's the throw off, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I saw videos of them when they have their little billionaires get together and they do their toast and all that stuff. Now, does it mean that they were really close? We see pictures, we see videos, we don't see behind the scenes. We don't know if they're calling each other up on a regular, and they're hanging out together. I'll never forget what Denzel Washington said, which doesn't seem to be true, but on the face of it, at least not anymore. But he said some years ago when asked about his friends, a reporter was asking him, about his friends, and being at Hollywood parties and stuff. And Denzel said, "Those are not my friends. Those are my colleagues. I work with these people. My wife and I have our own friends in our neighborhood. We go home to, and that's that. We hang out with. But his co-stars and those are not my friends." He said. So you just never. We don't know, but Jay's the photos and videos to your point that we have seen of Jay and Diddy appear to show them as very close.
It does, but we all know that Jay-Z's best friend is Beyonce. There's no doubt about that. Um, but it's good that he a lot of men wouldn't stand up for themselves the way that Jay-Z did in this lawsuit. But when it first came out, he was unapologetic, like, not today. No, sir. No, no, ma'am. We're not doing this
Because
today.
because so many celebrities will have just wrote the check, guilty or innocent. They would have wrote the check, because that this idea of that type of publicity, especially when you're talking about a young girl, they just don't want. They don't want that out there because people will so much fake, especially today, so much fake news and misinformation. Um, that spreads. There are people even now who say, "Oh no, I'm sure he had the girl." The girl has admitted now that Busby, at least her, is claiming that Busby pushed this on her.
Mm,
And there are still people who will tell you, no, he did it, he did it, because they want that for him. And
right,
that's
right.
a problem too. That's a whole nother problem too, when it comes particularly, I gotta say it, black male celebrities. People just root for their downfall. Root for their downfall.
I'm not going to say you're wrong on that. I'm not going to say you're wrong on that. But Jay-Z also has two daughters that probably played a huge well. He put it in some of the documents that Busby, is it Busby?
Yeah.
Yeah, Busby he tried to ambush him because the day, I think the day before he filed the case, they were going to the premiere of The Lion King. And so he said it was
Yep.
kind of like a bully tactic, to embarrass him in front of his daughter. So I think all of that played a part into how his daughters see him. you know, and the repercussions of what it would look like in the future, because this type of stuff stays with you. But now their father looks like a champion, that he stood up for himself and that he didn't do that. And I think that means a lot for him, for his daughter to be able to go to school or be around her peers and not be looked upon as her daddy is a gross man. Like, unfortunately, the Combs twins, you know, I feel bad for those two young ladies because they still have to deal with that. And, you know, the repercussions of ramifications of Diddy's actions. So it's just a horrible situation for somebody to be so instrumental of the development of Black culture and hip hop, to see Diddy go down like that. It's just horrible.
Yeah, and the twins are apparently, the last we heard, being taken care of by an individual, um, who, all I will say about that particular individual is, how in the world would you, uh, uh how could that be? Put it that way. Now I will say no more. Um, and this is all Diddy's doing, though. This is all Diddy's doing. If he cared about his brand, like Greer says, I guess in a nutshell, what she said, and his family, he probably wouldn't be in this predicament. And I think, who said it? Maybe it was Greer, who said it before, that when they get, you are more protected from this, from behaving this way and being involved in this nonsense when you're married. So, um and you know, Jay-Z obviously he's got a wife who ain't going for the nonsense.
Right.
He's
And Diddy
definitely
never
he
married.
definitely got a listen. Jay-Z definitely got a sister-in-law who ain't going for the nonsense.
Okay. I bet you he still has flashbacks when he gets in the elevator.
He's
He
that
not gonna
listen.
never live that elevator down.
Listen, that dude came out of that elevator battered and bruised.
Looking bewildered. And it was so funny because when they got ready to all get in the car, Solange and Beyonce got in the car, and Julius told him, "No, you go to the SUV. You go to the
Go
other
to-
car. You can't get this car."
She said, a real Black woman, they're not playing at all. You see what happened to Kanye. Oh gosh, Kanye. She brought up Kanye.
Oh wow. Yeah. But I think even in that moment, the way Beyonce, how they deal with their relationship in the public eye, but manage to always keep their situation public and solid. We don't know what goes on. You know, there've been multiple rumors, but they are an example of what marriage should look like, from the outside looking in. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I think the same of Rihanna and
ASAP.
ASAP. What they portray publicly is beautiful. It is
Yes.
absolutely, you love to see it. Um,
I don't think she's
eh,
gonna marry him though. Do you think she'll ever marry him? I don't think she's gonna marry him. Too much at stake. Too much money at stake. She a billionaire.
well, listen. At this point, it's like, why not? You got all these kids. She want to have more kids. She said with him, he wants to have more. Come on, come on. Let's be real here. Money or not, uh, do the right thing. Set an example for your kids.
We'll
Uh,
see.
see how Greer's acting up back there. Why she got to act up? And then look, she probably not even gonna show her face today, and she want to act up. Look, she's still acting up. Look at that. Nope. Um. So, he says Solange walks around New Orleans like she is from the project. She has OJ tendencies. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Don't let her pull
But
out her Florida water on you, okay? She got a little mystique about her, you know. She might go to the voodoo shops and stuff, you know. So
she
be
does that
careful.
stuff.
Well, she has a song in Alameda, talking about Florida water, and you know, Florida water is used in, you know, you could go to the voodoo shop in New Orleans and buy tons of Florida water, get your candles and stuff. And so, I mean, you know, yeah, it's in their
I
lyrics. Listen
when
to
we
her
were talking
lyrics.
when we were talking about best friends and stuff, I did miss this comment by Emperor. She says just like Epstein and Trump.
And they've been talking about those files for days. Have they released them? What?
Listen, it is what you would expect it to have to become. I thought that they was gonna put something out and redact like people's names like Trump. But the problem that they had, which they should have understood this from the get-go, is that we already knew Trump was all throughout the files. There were photos and jet logs and all that stuff, number one. But the attorney general, she said it was on her desk. It's on my desk, and she was, celebrating this stuff. And then all of a sudden, they released certain files that was already released to the public, and then she goes, "The Southern District of New York has hidden some of the files." Well, you said it was on your desk. So now she's authorized Cash Patel or asked Cash Patel to go through the Southern District with a fine-tooth comb. You know who's in the Southern District, right? None
Tell
other than Tish James.
Mm.
She's the AG over there. And so this is all. It was all a distraction. It was all the cause of distraction. That's all. There's nothing there that they're gonna put out that is going to tell you any more than what you already know. The one person they should be concerned about is Giselle Maxwell, the one that's in prison right now, and she's probably not going to say anything because just like Epstein died in prison, so she probably fears the same thing could happen to her. So um it's whatever. It's probably much ado about nothing because we pretty much know who's on those lists anyway, who's on the logs and stuff like that. So whatever.
I
This
think people
administration,
would be surprised about a couple people. We might have thought about it, or some people we would never have thought about. And you know that because one day last week, the DOJ's team came out of the Oval Office holding up the binders.
those were actually social media influences that the DOJ that Bondi had given those binders to.
Who does that? Coming out the
Exactly.
Oval Office waving the
Exactly.
binders like we got the files. Who does
Yep.
that?
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
That is
But
insane.
this is what you're dealing with. And this is why, once again, what is the point of going to this thing tonight if you are a Democrat? What's the point?
Bring it home. Bring it home, Stacy.
It's like, come on. It's all performative and it's all to create a distraction for something really nefarious that they are really doing. That's all. And so here we are. Black women's history.
Yes. Black
What you
women's
got? What you
history.
got?
So on this day in 1867, Ida Gray Nelson Rollins, the first African American woman dentist, was born in Clarksville, Tennessee.
In 1867, huh? The first African American woman dentist. Isn't that something?
That is something.
Wow. That's amazing. And you think about, I always love to because 50 years, was it 50 years before that, or no, 40 years before that, 1827 is when the Black Press was born, right? Is it 1827? Yeah, 1827. And I always think about think about Rushworm and Samuel Cornish, the two Black men who founded the Black Press in New York. Think about how brave, how bold they were, because that was before slavery ended. And here they are jumping up saying, we wish to plead our own cause because for too long others have spoken for us. And then you think about Ida Gray Nelson Rollins in 1867, not far removed from slavery, and meaning that uh, education wasn't really available. It certainly wasn't readily available. And already, behind the eight ball when it comes to stuff like that, she becomes a dentist. So that is, Black folks have had to overcome all the. We never stop trying to overcome, do we?
Right. It reminds me of the line in the The Negro anthem, lest we forget. We can't forget about these small moments in Black history that got us to where we are today. And so even for her to be able to become a dentist, but can't work, but not dignified enough to be able to work on a white mouth. You know what I mean? Like she has to stay with Black folks and only help Black folks, even though she's more qualified. But I'm sure the slave masters called when they needed her.
Well, I want RNG to make sure he sends us not just pictures, but video of him dancing in this parade down there in with the Jackson State University. He said the Sonic Boom of the South. He's getting ready to dance with them. He's got to not only send us pictures, you got to send us video of that so we can run it right here and let it be known, because we need to see stuff like this from you. We need what we see from him is when he barbecues, but I need to see now his interaction and stuff like this. I need to see him actually dancing in the parade. So we gotta show it to his peers and our audience, just to make sure, because otherwise we find him for some of that money under the mattress. That's the rule.
But it's good that he brought up the parade. Today is Fat Tuesday, so it's going down. It's carnival season all around the Caribbean. But today is Fat Tuesday, so that means that we pig out, we have fun with libations, and then tomorrow we fast for 40 days. Get your black ashes on your forehead.
Oh,
you
boy.
know, you do your 40 days, but don't forget Dr. Jamal Bryant's fast starts tomorrow. March 5th, it goes to April 17th. That's the 40-day fast, asking you to restrain from going to Target, no shopping at Target, trying to send a strategic message about the economic buying power of African Americans, and just in general. But we're trying to show our buying power. So that starts tomorrow. But today, get your Mardi Gras beads, go to your favorite Black-owned New Orleans restaurant, no matter what city you're in, and have a good time.
Our Black newspaper of the day is the Atlanta Daily World. It was founded as the Weekly Atlanta World on August 5th, 1928 by William Alexander Scott II, who was only 26 years old at the time. Scott was a Morehouse graduate who later worked as the only Black clerk on the Jacksonville to Washington, D.C. rail line. Then in 1927, published a Jacksonville business directory to help Black people find each other. A year later, he published a similar directory for Atlanta. At the time, there was very little coverage of Black educational institutions, businesses, prominent persons, churches, or other news of significance, the exceptions being crime news and death listings. This was despite the fact that Atlanta contained at the time the most prominent Black educational institutions and persons of influence in the country. Whites lived to a large extent sealed off from Black Atlanta and only interacted with Blacks in service positions, virtually unaware of the Black institutions and achievements taking place only a mile or two from their homes. The paper became a semi-weekly in May of 1930, a tri-weekly in April of 1931. And in 1931, Scott also began publishing the Chattanooga Tribune and the Memphis World, and by doing so, founded the first chain of Black newspapers, a chain that would eventually grow at its peak to 50 publications. Finally, in 2012, the Atlanta Daily World joined Real Times Media Incorporated, a publisher of 5 other African American weeklies, which include the Chicago Defender and the New Pittsburgh Courier. And there was some firsts for the Atlanta Daily World. It was the first Black daily in the 20th century, the first successful Black daily ever. It was the first Black newspaper with assigned White House correspondent, Harry S. Alpin, February of 1944, and one of the first Black newspapers to report Black on Black crimes, the first Black newspaper to have its name on a major airport newsstand, the Atlanta Daily World. There you
That's
have
a
it.
lot of history there.
A whole lot of history for the Atlanta Daily. So we got a lot of Black-owned newspapers, and again, like we tell you with the other ones, you can go to the Atlanta Daily World's website and view what's going on in the news today.
Right. And for a broad spectrum of what's happening in Black America, you can always go to Black Press USA, bringing you over 200 Black newspapers, their stories, their voice, and bringing you the best in Black excellence. So visit blackpressusa.com.
And remember, State of the People is ongoing. So jump on in, blackpressusa.com. The Black Press is YouTube. Check it out. Instagram, it's going down.
Yeah, streaming live now on our IG channel, Black Press USA. Go follow it. Tell a friend to follow Black Press USA on all social media outlets.
There you go. And again, we thank you so much for joining us. Tune in tomorrow because we got a lot to talk about tomorrow. We'll see you then.